time now for a look through today's newspapers, and I'm joined on set by our press reviewer, Deeptika Laurent. And Deepti, you're starting with that election this weekend in Hungary. Papers say it's shaping up to be a very tight contest.
That's right, a tight contest, notably between Viktor Orban, the Hungarian Prime Minister, and his younger rival, Peter Magyar. Polls, of course, showing this week that Magyar and his party had a lead over Orban, but it still is very early days yet ahead of that election on Sunday. Now, pro-Orban papers in Hungary have launched, nonetheless, a vitriolic critique of Peter Magyar. This is Magyar, rather. This is the front page of one such paper, which announced that he had crushed his party's narrative to a pulp and predicted big losses for him and his party this Sunday in those elections. This far-right paper also publishing this opinion piece here in which the writer warns voters not to vote for Magyar, a, quote, Brussels puppet in power, but to rather keep Orban in power, who, I quote, has the experience, ability, knowledge and courage to pull the country through even the most dire of crises. It's a crucial question of Hungary's very survival, it says in this opinion piece. And Orban is a focus of the Budapest Times here. He, for his part, said no election is decided until the people vote, and said it was even disrespectful to voters to speak as if the election outcome were already decided.
And a lot of papers are focusing on Peter Magyar himself and his rise to become Orban's most powerful rival. Yeah,
that's right. He's a conservative European MP. He's perhaps predestined for leadership because his very surname, Magyar, actually means Hungary, literally means Hungary. This French magazine here challenges, noting that he's been riding or surfing a wave of popularity, notably because many voters are discontent with the Orban government's corruption. And Magyar has also really played up his image. He's conventionally handsome, quite a stark contrast, for instance, to the, quote, aging Orban, who's stuck in his suit and tie. That's according to this French magazine. The Guardian, meanwhile, in this article here, calls Magyar authentic but abrasive, a dark horse. It documents his meteoric political rise, noting that he had a poster of Viktor Orban in up on his wall as a child. Orban, of course, was a figure of a post-communist Hungary brimming with potential. Well, now Peter Magyar perhaps stands at the crossroads of another political transition in Hungary, ousting Orban, who has transformed the country, I quote, into a petri dish of illiberalism.
All right, we'll have to see what happens on Sunday. Turning now to the U.S., Deepti, First Lady Melania Trump gave an extraordinary speech at the White House on Thursday, publicly denying any ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, that's right. She rarely speaks in public, so it was very surprising when she convened journalists to the White House on Thursday to give this 6-minute statement. And it's actually dominated the UK dailies today. This is the Belfast Telegraph. It's also on the front of the Times of London. The Belfast Telegraph saying that Americans have been left stunned after a furious Melania goes public. Indeed, in her speech, she noted she made that speech mainly to disassociate herself from Jeffrey Epstein. She said, as the New York Times explains here, that she was never a victim nor a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, nor did she have any knowledge of his crimes. She said she wanted to clear her good name after numerous social media posts and fake images linking her to the late pedophile. But her speech was also caught the White House off guard. This is the Daily Beast, which reports that it quotes, White House goons were allegedly blindsided by Melania's Epstein bombshell. The Guardian, for its part, in this article here, says that when Donald Trump launched his seemingly random war against Iran, there were suspicions at the time that he merely wanted to divert attention away from the Epstein scandal. So was Melania Trump's bizarre denial of her Epstein connections an elaborate ruse to divert attention, this time away from how badly the war in Iran went? Or did her attempt to quash the scandal actually end up reviving it in the public eye? Well, we are talking about it today, so.
All right, we will avoid speculation here on France 24. We'll let viewers decide for themselves. Finally, from you, Deepti, researchers have discovered a group of chimpanzees that actually waged civil war amongst themselves.
Yeah, That's right. This is a really chilling study that was published in a journal called Science. Now, Discover magazine reports on a study that actually spanned 30 years of observation of the Ngogo chimpanzees in Uganda. The recently published report documented a brutal and bloody civil war that occurred among this tight group community of chimpanzees. What happened was they actually split into two factions and started living completely separately. Over a period of several years, many adult and infant chimpanzees were brutally killed in this civil war. One faction was actually left significantly weakened as a result. Now, while these kinds of chimpanzee civil wars, if you like, occur very rarely, according to one press, once every perhaps 500 years, it is possible that with the effects of climate change or loss of habitat and so forth, well, these could actually exacerbate these Darwinian struggles for survivals between chimpanzees in the future. So unfortunately, it's another thing we have in common with chimpanzees, a propensity for war.
Yeah, a less positive thing in common. Although it would be nice if humans could get down to once every 500 years.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
better than we're doing right now. Deepti, thank you. As always, that was our press reviewer, Deepti Galarant, with a look through today's newspapers.